Awesome. So next part we're going to get into, and I'm going to try to do this in about 10 minutes. So we have about 15 for our outcome setting exercise. So the next part that I'm going to get into is just going through the course outline real quick. I know I sent y'all an email and just wanted to give a little more details of what, in case any questions came up, or if you're like, don't know what some of this means. So week one has, again, just been kind of getting the logistics down, creating foundations, introducing us to each other, and then also introducing this container that we're creating. At the end, where the last thing we're going to do is an outcome setting exercise, and I'll explain what that is when we go through it. And that's to create an outcome for the entire program. So this can be, and that was kind of why I asked those questions in the introduction part. To kind of get us maybe in that direction of knowing what our outcome is if we don't have it yet. Having that outcome, and outcome is, it's similar to an intention, like having an intention, but to me, an intention is like, I intend on doing this in the future. And an outcome is, it's here, I have it, it's already like come out and here it is. And so choosing that that's going to be what you have by the end of the 4 weeks, instead of like, I intend on having this, kind of keeps putting it in the future. So an outcome is, now I have this. So we'll do that. You guys are going to get a recording from me in the next 24 to 48 hours. That's just me sharing about the scale of emotions. And that is kind of detail by detail, the emotions that we experience, every human experiences, how they can become programmed in the subconscious, and how we identify that they're programmed in the subconscious, and then what we can do in the conscious mind to transform that emotion so that we're not stuck in it. So I'll give the details of that, and then you guys are going to, it's about, I want to say it's between 30 to 40 minutes. You don't have to watch the whole thing. So if you're like, if you're like me and you have a pretty busy schedule, you're welcome to just listen to it in the car. It is nice to see, I'm going to have a chart. It is nice to see the chart, and, you can go back and look at that another time. We'll also, in the second week, after you guys have watched the video training, we're actually going to do some like coaching and facilitation with the emotions. So the recordings, just so you can get the information part out, the live record or the live call on Zoom is going to be the actual coaching and facilitation. And to me, it becomes, like I said, it's a remembering. So these tools, these techniques that we use, they're simple. And I say that because you can then apply them in your life, or you can kind of ask yourself certain questions, become aware of certain subconscious patterns that are happening. And then we're also going to get into, and this may be, I may like leave this as kind of like a homework thing. Sorry if you guys don't like that word, I'll find a different word. But just like something to create on your own with support, but will probably happen in the next day. To create an actionable is just like a goal. So you have your outcome, and you know what you're choosing your outcome to be. The actionable is kind of breaking it up into steps, right? So you know your outcome. What is something you can do in the next 7 days to get you one step closer to that outcome? And you'll choose it, and I'll help you kind of get the details of how to create a goal that sets you up for success, right? Let's see. Sorry, and then week 2 is when we're going to get more into understanding, connecting with like our word and language upgrades. So where we can upgrade our own language. And Crystal, actually, really short, quick story just to share with you guys. Crystal actually introduced me to the work of conscious language, which was becoming aware of your word and language patterns. And I will remember this forever. The first time she shared with me this upgrade, I had this pattern of saying that I always forget and I always lose my phone, my keys, and my wallet. And y'all, it was true for years. I can't say how many phones I've been through. They were either I lost them, I broke them, they got stolen from me, my keys would go missing. You know, and I even had this habit of like leaving my phone places, and then somebody would text Austin, you know, hey, Taylor left her phone here. And so it wasn't just that I was saying it, it was actually existing. So if that makes sense, like I was saying it, but it was actually existing. So I'm not saying that like, oh, you know, they're just beliefs and word patterns and it's not true. No, it was actually happening. And when Crystal reminded me to shift the I always forget to I always remember, after practicing it, you literally get to recode your subconscious, just like a computer. You get to recode it, you get to put new codes in. And I started remembering where my phone was. I remembered where my keys were. When Austin and I first started dating, it was a daily occurrence. Have you seen where I put my phone? Do you know where I put my phone? And it started to become a joke between us because I was always losing it. And so when I shifted that language, that was really the first, like, where I really started to notice a difference into like, I always remember my keys. I always know where my things are. And even now, when I'm not sure where stuff is, instead of me saying, I can't find my phone, I'll literally say, I'm walking up to my phone right now. I know where my phone is and I'm going to it right now. And y'all, this works. It works. I'm not guaranteeing, I'm not promising you when. I'm not saying the first time, but I'm also saying, not saying that it won't work the first time. You know, it's all kind of on its own, the amount of the energy behind it, you know, it may take practice. So staying vigilant in that. So we'll get in those shifts and starting to apply and adopt those practices into your everyday life. So we'll get into those. That's more in the mental, the psyche part. What we're also going to get into in week 2 is the body. So like I said, mind-body connection. So, you know, word language upgrades in the mind, but also understanding how the body is an information center. Everything we need to know, all of the messages that we need to know in order to, for personal development, are in our body. All we require is like having the tools, the techniques to kind of bring them up in a way that, one, feels secure, and 2, creates lasting transformation. So not just a little bit better, but lasting transformation. And you will also receive from me in week 2 a breath work exercise. We'll do a little bit of breath throughout. I do have I do use the practice of yoga, but not so much like y'all gonna have to get up and do some stretching or anything like that. It's gonna be breath. Breath is one of the greatest ways to get any type of energy moving. It's one of the only ways to kind of almost instantly or within a few moments shift from fight or flight to rest and digest. So it's really great for calming the nervous system. You know, because we can't think ourselves into stop having anxiety. Like, I don't know if that works for y'all, but that doesn't work for me. When I just say, okay, I just want to stop, like stop feeling anxious. No, it does not work. But breath does allow us to control the nervous system. So using that as a tool, you guys will get that from me. I wanted to add to, I like to share this because if you don't do breath work exercises regularly, just remember the diaphragm is a muscle. So it's like if you're doing a new workout for the first time. So if it feels challenging, don't give up on yourself. You can share that it's feeling challenging, and we can, you know, I can support you with what you're feeling and staying with it, because you will notice a difference. So you'll receive that. We'll do some facilitation, like I said, on the scale of emotions, because I promise once you guys hear the recording that I have, you're going to start to notice where those emotions are coming up for you. So we'll get to play with that. It's so much fun to me. It's one of my favorite personal development tools, is upgrading our emotions, shifting the energy around it, so we don't have to stay in anger, stay in grief, stay in pain. There's more that we get to experience. We'll also set our second goal, or our second actionable for that week, which is getting us a step closer to being in our outcome. Week 3, we're going to talk about embodied connection. So I love what you mentioned earlier, Courtney, because I'm super big on this, like being connected with our bodies. We're going to develop a deeper connection with our bodies, and anything that's getting in the way, whether it's mental, whatever that is, keeping us from feeling connected to our bodies, we're going to get to bring it up and we're going to clear it out. Another great thing that one of the things I love we're going to talk about is shifting codependency into co-empowerment. And codependency, it doesn't necessarily have to be with other people. It can be with other things. Addiction is another word that's used. Ali, I love what you said earlier about, you got off Facebook, you took it off your phone. Sometimes we can even be codependent with social media, and codependent with food, even codependent with things that we think are healthy, but we still believe that we need them in order to be something. So we'll get to identify those patterns and then the tools to shift them into co-empowerment. And we'll do more facilitation around that. We'll also have our third goal. Then week 4. This is all about how to create the life you choose. So taking all the tools that you have learned and started to practice and remember too over the last 3 weeks, and then using that to create the life you choose. Because like I said, this is going to go beyond the 4 weeks. That's my intention with this, is it's not just, things get better for 4 weeks. It's your life is better forever. You continue, your life is changed and it stays with you forever. Like, this is the